A foster mother with a secret. A criminal husband she swore wasn't there. And a 2-year-old boy caught in the middle of it all. Today, we're watching Judge Stuckey handle a case where CPS discovered that a foster placement has been lying for nearly 2 years about who's living in her home. The man in question, her husband, who has a criminal history including aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, and a 10-year prison sentence for drug charges. The victims of those crimes. The foster mother herself. Now the department has removed the child and everyone's asking, can this foster mother be trusted? Judge Stuckey is about to get brutally honest. Let's dive in.
Please.
Samantha Yeager.
And Ms. Yeager, a lot's kind of happened in the last month or so in this case, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's kind of start at the beginning, kind of let's let the court know kind of what's happened and where we're at right now.
Okay, so the last week in January, the conservatorship department was preparing to staff with the adoption program to transfer Christopher's case to the adoption unit. The adoption supervisor noticed a home study that was done on Miss Jackson's home that made reference to her husband and some rather alarming criminal history. So the two supervisors staffed, and I was advised to get additional information. One of those was the concern that he had served time in prison, according to the home study, from 2005 to 2015. But it was unknown as to what those charges were. So now that the department was aware that there was someone in or around, whether he's residing there full time or not, we had to do our due diligence and investigate further. So we submitted for a diligent search after getting with our SI team. And they made that recommendation because what they were coming up with was not what they felt was the complete picture. I did my face-to-face on January the 31st, where I identified Mr. Homer in the home, although that's not his original name that he gave. So that raised a lot of concerning flags. The children appear to be happy. They're healthy. They were healthy. They appeared to be comfortable with Mr. Homer. This apparently was not something new. It was not a new situation. It was a period of time where, like I said, I assessed the safety of the children. Nobody had any marks or bruises. There didn't appear to be any drugs or firearms in the home, which was concerns based on his criminal history. And so I left and rode down the road and staffed it with my supervisor, knowing that he was not an approved person to be there, but to find out if I needed to do an immediate removal or if I could leave the child there. We went through a series of questions, staffing. The overall safety of the child and the other two children in the home appeared to be fine at that point in time. So I left. I then reached out to the child placement agency who Miss Jackson is licensed with to discuss my concern. They were very upset about Mr. Homer being in the home because they had been told by Miss Jackson that she was filing for divorce. There was no relationship. He's an out-of-town, over-the-road truck driver. Fast forward, we thought that they were removing Christopher and putting him in a respite until we could gather all the necessary information to make an educated recommendation and to come before Judge Stuckey. On February 22nd, the agency removed Christopher and placed him in a foster home, which is where he is now until we get some direction from the court.
Let's start with when we did the background checks. Was there some questions in there about Mr. Homer?
Yes.
Okay. And he and Miss Jackson are still married as far as we understand.
Correct.
And would that prevent us from being able to move forward on an adoption?
Yes.
And with regards to this foster home, have you been out to see Christopher in the foster home?
In the current foster home?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
And do you have concerns with this foster home?
I do.
Okay, can you explain what those concerns are?
Yes, I do. Yes, I can. First, I'd like to stress that I do not have concerns for Christopher's safety. I do feel that all of his needs are being met. I feel like he is being fed and clothed and has a safe place to lay his head. I do have concerns that there are many children in the home, defined as from 27, 22, 14, 16, 14, 12, I think, and a 7-year-old. Sorry, there's not a 16-year-old in the home. And then on the weekends, grandchildren come. So Christopher has gone from an environment where he is the youngest of 3, his 2 older siblings that are 3 and 4. So you have a 2, 3, and 4-year-old, to a home where you have 7 children ranging in ages from elementary school to adulthood, plus grandchildren. So there's a lot of people in that home. It's a completely different atmosphere than what Christopher is used to.
And Ms. Jackson's home was the only home he'd been in prior to this move. Is that correct?
Correct. When he was released from St. David's shortly after being born, he went to Miss Jackson's home, and he remained there until I picked him up February 22nd, and he turns 2 in April. Sorry, May. Sorry.
No, he's almost 2, and this is the big, huge, possibly traumatic change for this child.
Yes.
And what is the agency wanting to do?
The agency is not able to keep an adoption on the table due to Mr. Homer's criminal history. That's not a possibility for us to offer. If the judge were inclined to have Christopher return to Miss Jackson's home, we can offer permanent managing conservatorship, but that's about our only choice.
Ms. Yeager, I'm sorry, I missed that. You could or could not.
We can offer PMC, yes, sir.
Okay, but that would be PMC with no benefits. Is that right?
There are some benefits, but you're correct. For the majority of them, they do not have the same as the adoption benefits.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Hoyle.
And so those are basically the options we're looking at. And are you inclined to keep him in this foster home moving forward?
No, my supervisor and I staff that while we do feel that he's safe, we don't feel that it is in his best interest as far as a nurturing environment that can meet all of his emotional needs. And so we would be looking for a different placement.
Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Ms. Elvig.
I do. Ms. Yeager, we've staffed this as a major group, have we not, prior to removal of Christopher?
Yes, we have.
And you've had an opportunity to look at the child care records?
Yes.
The dental record. Can you tell the court the involvement of the placement of Miss Jackson?
I can tell you, we were able to receive the time card details from the week of 11/27 of 2022 through 12/18 of 2022. So that is a care that the 3 siblings were originally at. For those 15 days that Christopher was in care, Mr. Homer picked up, it appeared that Mr. Homer was the drop-off or pickup, and Miss Jackson's son was the opposing. So there was 4 days during those 15 that Miss Jackson either dropped off the children, and then there was 5 days that Mr. Homer dropped off Christopher, and then 6 days that her son did.
So is it your understanding that this Mr. Homer is actually the lead person in picking up or dropping off Christopher?
It is. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Did that pause or offer any concerns to you?
It does.
And had you went to the house to go visit with Miss Jackson, in which I think you had some serious concerns, which raised the issue of staffing. Can you tell the court what happened that day?
Yes. So I was scheduled for my monthly face-to-face with Miss Jackson and Christopher on the 31st of January. I had told her that I had an earlier appointment and I would let her know when I was leaving that area to give her an ETA. I sent her a text with an ETA. I believe my ETA was about 7:30 in the evening. I arrived at the home. The first thing I noticed was a Ford F-150 pickup truck that I did not recognize as belonging to Miss Jackson or to any of her sons. Later, running the due diligence, it does belong to Mr. Homer. There were lights on upstairs and some downstairs. I went to knock on the door and I noticed that the front door handle was barely hanging in the hole of the door. So this kind of caused a little concern because it was clear that there were occupants inside based on the noises that I heard, and then upstairs a light went off and yet no one was answering the door, and what I suspected was Mr. Homer's truck outside. Based on the previous criminal history knowledge that I had of this individual, I was concerned for the safety of Miss Jackson and the children in the home. And I went back into my truck, locked myself in my truck. I reached out to Miss Jackson. I saw that she had texted me and said, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming. I thought we had rescheduled. Can we reschedule?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm here now. I'm right outside the home. There's several vehicles that are here. So I know someone is here. I really need to see Christopher today." And so she said, "My son will come outside." So, the front door has got glass, so you can see into the home. You can definitely see into the home through the hole where the door handle was too. So I could tell that there was motion in there, and I just normally don't have a pause in answering the door. An older gentleman, older than her 20-something-year-old son, came out and approached me. I rolled my window down. I identified myself. I asked him who he was. He overlooked that question and asked me if he needed to bring Christopher outside for me to see him. I told him no, I really needed to go into the home to see Christopher in his environment. And I asked again what was his name. He told me his name is Derek Jackson and that he is Miss Jackson's brother. I recognized him. I thought I had recognized him from some family pictures Miss Jackson had shared with me of the adoption consummation of Janice and Jonah, and also I think a Christmas picture. But again, I wasn't 100% sure who this gentleman was. It was a little odd that his pants were unzipped, and his belt was undone, and he kept it that way for the remainder of the visit. He escorted me into the home. Janice and Christopher were seated at the kitchen table in their booster seats, ready to eat. He had clearly been cooking dinner. He was comfortable in the kitchen. This appeared to be a very comfortable routine procedure for the kids. Within a couple of minutes, little Jonah came downstairs. I thought that was a little bit odd that a 4-year-old would be upstairs in the dark, like the light had been off for quite a few minutes. And just 4-year-olds usually don't like, just something that I noted with my training, didn't appear to be right. But again, the children were happy. They were healthy. He was cooking them an appropriate meal. I asked the kids a couple of questions. I spoke with them. I looked around. The home appears to be in the same condition it always is. It's fairly neat, fairly tidy. So there didn't seem to be any concern. At the conclusion of my visit, I did not feel comfortable going throughout the house like I typically do. There was just a feeling that I had. And so I did ask him, I said, "I need to go ahead and see your ID, please, as protocol, because I'm not aware that you've been on the approved person list." And he kind of hesitated. He took his wallet out. He went to flash his license. I had my phone. I took a picture, and it was indeed Mr. Homer. I just thanked him for his time, and he walked me out. He walked me out. It was just a little bit, again, different than what I'm used to. Very close behind me. I stopped for a minute. I thought he was going to bump into me. I asked him if he had any questions. He said no. I got in my truck. He just stood there kind of staring at me, and then I left.
When you did the background check, can you share with Judge Stuckey what the background check and the incarceration reflected of his alleged crimes?
Yes. The two main concerns on the background check that we ran was aggravated assault of a family member, which I asked Miss Jackson who was the victim, and she identified herself as she was, and then aggravated kidnapping. I asked her if she was the victim, and she said yes, she was. Both of those were no billed, but still there was that in mind. He also had possession charges, and that was the reason for his 10-year tenure in prison in Louisiana was drug related.
Did you have an opportunity to ask Miss Jackson for some clarification as a result of this visit, especially whether or not Mr. Homer lived there?
I did.
And what was her response?
That he doesn't live there, that he's an over-the-road truck driver. He wasn't able to drive a couple of loads because of the weather, because it was cold, and we'd had a little bit of ice. And he was just helping her out, and that he was not supposed to be there by himself, that she had entrusted her son to be there, but her son had to run to the store to get a gallon of milk.
With what she told you, does that really balance with what you actually observed when you went to the house?
No, ma'am, it does not.
Has Miss Jackson been cooperative and truth, or do you feel that she's been cooperative or truthful to you?
I feel that she's been cooperative. I don't feel that she's been truthful, and that's the biggest concern.
Well, and given that, you let this team know, of which we then staffed and made the decision to remove Christopher. Is that correct?
Yes.
Until the judge can decide what is best for Christopher.
Yes, correct.
And is it your understanding that Miss Jackson wants him returned to her house?
Yes, it is.
Here's what we just learned. For almost 2 years, this foster mother told everyone she was single, independent, raising kids alone. The caseworker visited monthly, never saw any evidence of a man in the home. But when adoption paperwork surfaced, it revealed she's married to a man with serious criminal history who supposedly served 10 years in prison. When the caseworker showed up unannounced for a visit, she found a truck in the driveway, lights turning off upstairs, and someone refusing to answer the door. When a man finally came out, pants unzipped, belt undone, he claimed to be the foster mother's brother. But it wasn't her brother. It was her husband, and he'd been picking up and dropping off this child at daycare regularly. The foster mother's response: he's just an over-the-road truck driver helping out. The department isn't buying it, and neither is anyone else in this courtroom.
You have concerns about the ongoing Mr. Homer and his issues being with the child at any time while he's there.
I do have concerns based on his history, finding out that he's been around the children for quite some time. That time frame was unknown. Would say, at this point there hasn't been any injuries, but based on his previous history and based on not being clear as does he actually reside in the home, I believe he does. His driver's license shared the same address as Miss Jackson. It is a concern based on his previous history for the well-being of the child.
Now, you actually went to the home and picked up Christopher to remove him and place him in another placement. Is that correct?
That's not correct, actually. Passion for Families, her case manager, had offered to pick him up. Normally, yes, the department does pick the children up, but she had offered to. However, he was, at that point, Miss Jackson was not cooperative. She did not have Christopher at the home with all his belongings. She said he'd have to be picked up from daycare, that Catherine was not able to pick him up. It would have to be me. And he came with just a very, very small backpack about the size of a small purse.
Now, Christopher's been in the court's jurisdiction or care through the department almost 2 years. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay. And during that time, does it appear that this has been ongoing with this Mr. Homer and this not truthfulness with respect to Miss Jackson and placement?
I would have to believe so.
But let me ask you this, because you and I've had these conversations. When you have visited the home, have you ever seen any bruises or bodily injuries on Christopher?
No, I have not.
Okay, so at least in that regard, you believe that he's been fairly safe.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that we've talked about that you think that is important for the court to know as to the status of Christopher today?
I believe that Christopher is very bonded to Miss Jackson. I believe that Christopher is very bonded to his brother and sister. I believe the child is very confused, but I do believe that, the department has due diligence to ensure this child's safety to the best of our ability. And in light of Mr. Homer coming on the radar, I'm just not sure that can be a guarantee.
Right. And Mr. Homer is not a recent person on the radar, is he not? I mean,
No.
In fact, you've addressed these issues with Miss Jackson in the past.
That's correct.
And your concern is whether or not long-term safety after the court goes away, in this case, whether Mr. Homer's involvement will be with Christopher at this point.
Correct.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Hoyle.
Mr. Cost, you're the CASA supervisor in this case, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you've been in on some of the conversations with regards to Christopher and what's been happening in this home. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And either you or Miss Whiteley have been out to the home. Is that correct?
Current foster home or past foster home?
Past foster home, Miss Jackson's home.
Correct.
And have one or both of you been out to the new foster home?
Miss Whiteley has been there twice.
Okay. Can you tell the court CASA's position with regards to this?
Yes. CASA shares the same concerns as the department. We are concerned about Mr. Homer's criminal history. We feel we have not received all of the facts in Miss Jackson's home. Christopher is doing well in his placement right now. He is safe. It's the only concern with that placement we had was the lack of a baby gate. Our biggest safety concern, one of our largest safety concerns, was that the agency felt that Miss Jackson's home was deemed unsafe enough to close. So therefore we couldn't advocate to keep Christopher in Miss Jackson's home.
Is the number of children and the lack of a baby gate, what about the bonding with Christopher? Was CASA able to kind of view any sort of emotional issues that may be with regards to Christopher in the new foster home?
Although we note that it may not be a home that Christopher should be in long term, we feel that he's safe in it right now. Regards to his siblings, we felt like he was very bonded to his siblings as well, and Miss Jackson. And
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say we would recommend sibling visits as well.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered that CASA would like us to know, like the court to know?
No, I believe that's everything.
Okay. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Ms. Elvig.
Yeah, no questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Hoyle, any other witnesses you wish to call?
No other witnesses at this time.
Ms. Elvig, any witnesses you wish to call today?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions, just try to sort through a few things that I'd like to know. Ms. Yeager, approximately how long have you been on this case?
For the entirety.
Okay, so that's good. So how many times do you think that you have been in Miss Jackson's home to see Christopher? And I assume you've been there monthly, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're looking at Let me age the case real quick. My computer ages the case at 664 days. So we're going on, getting fairly close to 2 years, I guess. Have you ever seen anything that led you to believe there were household and, occupants that you weren't aware of until, these recent incidents?
No, I have not. I've been in her bedroom because initially when he was first placed with her, he slept in a pack and play because he was going through withdrawals and he was having some issues that just needed additional nurturing. I've been in her bedroom multiple times. There was never any appearance that there was any kind of masculine presence there at all or anywhere in her living room. She had stated to me that she had raised her boys by herself. Their dad had gone to prison and just presented as a very independent single woman taking care of kids.
Okay, so Miss Jackson was a licensed placement, but what is her relationship to Christopher?
So there were three children in the home: Jonah, Janice, and Christopher. She is the paternal aunt to Jonah. So she took in her nephew. And then Megan gave birth to a girl, a daughter, a year later. Miss Jackson did not want the siblings separated, so she agreed to take Janice. Then Megan had a third child, and again, not wanting to separate the three, even though she's not biologically related to Janice or Christopher, she felt it was in the best interest to keep all three siblings together, so she agreed to take Christopher as well.
Okay, and so I know it's been, since you've been on the case since the beginning, you've had a lot of conversations with Miss Jackson, but based on your testimony, it sounded like you were fairly confident that you understood the situation between her and Mr. Homer. So has she explicitly told you in the past that they were not together and that she was either seeking a divorce or planning to seek a divorce? I'm just trying to figure out what plans, if any, she had ever shared with the department or yourself.
Sure. So again, she presented to me as no longer in a marital relationship or any relationship when I first met her. Last year around this time, Sherry, the CASA advocate, and I were discussing the case, and she had said that she had spoken with Tracy, and Tracy had told her that she was hoping when she got her tax return back that she would have enough money to fund a divorce, which was a shock to me because I didn't know she was married. She had never made a mention, and again presented as single. So that was my first clue that there was still a marriage. When I asked Miss Jackson, she said, again, they're not in a relationship. He's an over-the-road truck driver. I asked her specifically what was her amount of contact with this gentleman, which I also asked recently. And she was emphatic that she may talk to him once every couple of months, briefly on the phone, but not in person because, again, he works over the road as a truck driver.
Okay, and so let's go back to the home study that was performed. So the home study, did pass and was positive. Is that right?
It's my understanding that home study did bring to light the concerns with Mr. Homer's criminal history, and that the adoption was granted because there was some sort of, you'll have to consult my attorney for the verbiage, but some sort of a waiver type thing where it explicitly stated that all parental rights would be given to Miss Jackson and no parental rights whatsoever would be given to Mr. Homer.
Okay.
It was an unusual document.
But as far as the home study, there was nothing in there that led you to believe that he was a frequent visitor to the home or an occupant of the home or any of that. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct. And that home study was done in 2019.
That was my next question, so thank you. So we're looking at, obviously, quite a ways while has passed since that home study. Okay, so with those questions in mind, Ms. Hoyle, do you have any other questions to Ms. Yeager?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Ms. Elwood.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Elvig, what is it that you are reporting and like to request of the court today for your client?
Well, a couple of things, Your Honor. Since Miss Jackson is here, she had called me late Friday night. She might wish to be heard. The concerns of Mr. Homer, I think, is this group. We have staffed a couple of Zoom meetings to try to deal with Christopher. I have spoken with the current placement. I have pictures of my client. He is adapting well to his new placement, which I agree with everyone, I think is a temporary situation. But there's not been any outburst or anxiety or anything since he was moved. So that's good because he's 2 or about to be 2. His needs are being met emotionally. He's being fed, as Miss Yeager has reported, as well as Miss DeCosti. I just think we wanted to get this before you as to we need some guidance from you. Permanent managing conservatorship is available, but we've got a case in which none of us want to be on the front page of the local paper if this something happens to this child. We have a placement that's not been honest throughout the process. We have someone in her home that has at least been accused, it's been alleged, of domestic violence or things that could be harmful to Christopher. So the best I could do, Your Honor, is to get it to you. My recommendation is, at least for now, until everyone can get to the bottom of this, that Christopher stay in his current placement. There, we know that he's safe. His needs are being met. I think it's in his best interest. He's not negatively reacting to the current placement. He's enamored with an older child. He's excited about when she gets off the bus. So he's adapting. So we've got a lot of issues to balance, and we thought we would basically bring it to news. So my bottom record is leave him where he is currently until we can get to the bottom of this Mr. Homer and what Miss Jackson might be willing to do or what the department has available for her.
Okay, thank you, Miss Elvig. So, Ms. Jackson, this is Judge Stuckey. First, I want to make sure that you do, in fact, want to tell the court something. If you do, I'd like to hear it, and I'll swear you in. If you don't, then just let me know.
Oh, I would like to speak.
Okay, so Ms. Jackson, if you'll raise your right hand for me so I can give you an oath, please. You swear the testimony you're going to provide in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Jackson, if you can tell us your full name, please. So Ms. Jackson, obviously, Christopher, I'm well aware Christopher was in your home for a long period of time. It does sound like now he's been removed from your home. So I am very interested in what you have to tell me today. So I would like you to, think hard about what it is you want to say, and then speak, please, slowly and clearly, so I have the best opportunity to hear, what you want me to know in making decisions for Christopher today. Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Ms. Jackson, what would you like me to know about Christopher?
First of all, I would like to say that I am deeply, deeply sorry for how everything transpired, how everything happened. I am so sorry. And the whole thing with my husband is we are separated. We were separated. I don't have his last name. We don't have any financial things together. This is my house. My name is only on it. My cars, vehicles, everything. So we're actually really separated. The thought came to try to work things out, but there's a whole different story. The whole situation started, and I should have trusted my faith enough to know that Samantha and them would help me, and I did. When Christopher was first born, I took over him when he was a week old, and the entire time I stayed with him, and because he was going through withdrawal, I'm a nurse, so I stayed with him. I stayed out of work and everything to make sure he went through the withdrawals and everything will be okay. And in that time, then I got ready to go back to work. I asked Samantha for NCI, but they kept going back and forth telling me that I have to have at least 40 hours, a pay period to work. Well, I couldn't get a job because I didn't have a sitter. So I lost 2 jobs waiting for them to approve that, a signal for that. So then I come back around again. They told me they switched caseworkers on me at the agency, and they told me, well, my son had to be qualified or something, but they never said anything about this when I had Janice and Jonah. And I had Jonas since he was 1, and Janice she was 4 months. So they told me that.
Okay, so Miss Jackson, let's put the daycare aside for a minute, because I do have the authority to order daycare in this case. So if you'll just tell me what impact, if any, not having daycare, if that led to any different decisions you made. But as far as daycare, if that's something that's necessary in this case, I could take care of that today. If I see fit to returning.
Right, it was, but I got my hours changed because it was a new job. I couldn't just demand it. I got my hours changed from 6 to 2, where I can pick him up and drop him off, and Monday through Friday, where I will be at home with them on the weekend, so I wouldn't need no extra help. Besides that, the more thing that I'm more so concerned about, y'all, is that I just want to keep them together. If you decide, to not to return it, just keep them together, because I have personal experience of having a sibling not there with us growing up. So I just want to keep them together. I would love for them to be with me, but by all means, if they feel like he's not safe, they're only doing their job. Don't separate the kids because of my stupid mistake.
All right, Miss Jackson, I want you to breathe a little bit, okay? Because it's really important to be able to hear you. So let's take a break for a second.
When I reached back out to the agency about, because they told me that Jamarian, which is my son, couldn't watch Christopher. I asked them for, respite or somebody until he can take the classes that he needed for them. And in the meantime, instead of them helping me, she sent me a text, and I have all this information saying that if I didn't want to keep Christopher, to sign over a 30-day notice. And so instead of helping me, she scared me, because I thought, okay, well, if they want me to give them up, then I'm gonna have to figure this out until I can change the schedule. We sat down and we went over a plan.
Slow down, Miss Jackson. Slow down. I know you're excited and you have a lot to say, but I want to make sure that everybody can hear you as well as myself. And I'm making notes of all the stuff, if not in my head, on paper. So just slow down a little bit for me, okay?
Yes, sir. When I reached out to the agency to help with finding somebody to watch Christopher while I go to work until we can finish the paperwork that they said my son needed to do before he can step back up and start helping with Christopher. She, my caseworker, she just simply said, if you don't want to no longer have Christopher in your custody, just put a 30-day notice letter in stating that. So instead of addressing the issue to help me find somebody until they got their paperwork, she told me to literally just sign a paper and give him up. And I wasn't willing to do that either. So they came out the next day, and instead of us taking the test and doing it so he can become it, they gave us all the answers and just told us to sign our name, and they would put the date on there. So what hurts me more than anything is that they punished me for not following the rules, but they wasn't following the rules for the last 4 years. I mean, everything with the CPR, everything you can name, your honor, they pretty much, they did it. The man that came out to do my fire detectors, fires, things, it was all just, somebody they paid They didn't really come in and check all that. They didn't do that. The gas people, they didn't really, they had one designated person that they used that just came out the door. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say they were wrong. I'm taking this blame on myself. I should have trusted my faith and trusted Samantha, to come to her and say, this is what I was going through. But I was already scared, so it forced me to make decisions that I wouldn't have made had I just sat down and thought about it.
Judge Stuckey just delivered one of the most powerful reality checks I've ever heard in family court. He looked this foster mother in the eye and said, "I don't like dishonest people, especially when it comes to child safety." Then he explained something crucial. Even if she divorces her husband, that doesn't automatically make the child safe. A divorce is just paperwork. What matters is her actions. Can she actually keep this man away? Because as long as he's a frequent visitor to her home, she can never adopt this child. That's not the judge's rule, that's state law. The best she could ever get is managing conservatorship with no financial benefits. Judge Stuckey is making it crystal clear. This isn't about what you say you'll do. It's about what you actually do. And if she lies again, game over.
Christopher, Janice, and Jonah are a big part of my life now. I mean, I'm 47 years old and I'm starting over. And at first it sounded crazy, but I done got so attached to them that it's not. So whatever you need me to do right now, I would do it. I would do it. Whatever you need me to do, I would do.
So, Miss Jackson, who's currently residing in your home right now?
My son, Jamari.
And how long has he lived there?
How long has he been here? He's my son.
Okay.
He's been with me ever since he was born.
And how old is he?
He's 24.
Okay. And when was Mr. Homer, your husband, last in your home?
He was last in my home 2 or 3 days ago. And all he did was just stop by because he was concerned too about Chris.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Miss Jackson. It sounds like there's a lot going on, and I'm going to consider it. But I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like dishonest people. Okay, especially when it comes to child safety. And so when you've got people in your home that you say weren't supposed to be there, or, you're not in a relationship with, CPS comes and then they themselves lie about who they are and, try to mislead people as to, who they are, what their identity is. It just doesn't look very good. And, even when confronted, it sounds like y'all still didn't come clean. So, what assurances can you give me that if I was to return Christopher to your home, that it would be any different, that we could trust you at this point to be honest with you about who lived there, who your frequent visitors were, and to know that Mr. Homer is never going to step foot on your property again as long as Christopher's there?
Yes, sir. My insurance, I would do anything. I mean, have, people just let anybody pop up at any hour or anything, just to check up on me. But I would do anything, Your Honor. Anything.
Well, what's that anything? It's not what I want you to do. It's what you need, in your own heart, Miss Jackson, what's right and what you would need to do for Christopher. So, I mean, are you going to let Mr. Homer back on your property? I mean, is he coming back?
No, I won't. I won't. You have my word. I won't.
I mean, and here's something else that you need to consider right now. He's 2, right? Christopher's 2 or almost 2. And, as long as Mr. Homer is a frequent visitor to your home, and that kind of has a kind of a definition like in child placement agency, like CPA language, right? As long as he's a frequent visitor to your home, you cannot ever adopt Christopher. Do you understand that? Ever. And that's not my rule. That's their rule, right? That's a state rule.
Yes.
That the state has to go by, child placement agencies have to abide by. And so the only thing, if Mr. Homer was to ever just come by, the best you could ever have would be managing conservatorship of him, but that would mean that there's most likely no financial benefit, that you could have with Christopher to help you, raise him. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. And I will file for divorce if that's what it takes.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Ms. Jackson. I hear that and I appreciate that, but in my mind, I mean, would a divorce make it cleaner? Yes, but what I need you to understand today is that it's not about what you do and you tell people. It's about what you do. Like, you actually have to keep people away and keep Christopher safe. Like, you could get a divorce from him, but you can allow him to live with you. That's why a divorce in reality, I mean, it's okay. It's a step, right? But it's not the end all be all of keeping Christopher safe. So it's really about your actions. And as long as your actions keep Christopher safe, that's what we need. If they don't, and you're going to be, put potentially dangerous people around him and be deceptive with the people who are out here with the responsibility of keeping him safe, then he's not coming back to your home. So what I need to know is that you are committed to keeping him safe and thinking about him first, not yourself, not your son, not anybody.
Yes,
That Christopher, like, all your decisions are about what's in Christopher's best interest, and then you get to everybody else. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. I do. Please. Please just give me another chance. I promise I would not disappoint any of y'all. I know I lost all y'all trust, but just please give me a chance.
So, Miss Yeager, tell me, the department knows about Miss Jackson's son. Is that right?
Yes, sir. He's a very fine, polite, well-mannered young man that seems to be very responsible for his age. And he's very bonded to the kids. He doesn't hesitate to change a diaper or anything. He laughs and says it's good birth control. And he likes them as younger siblings, but no desire to have his own anytime soon. He's a very polite young man.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yeager. So, Miss Jackson, do you need daycare at this point? What can we do to help, provide stability for you and Christopher if I put him back in your home? Would you need daycare?
Yes, daycare.
And is there a daycare in your area?
Yes, he was in a good daycare.
Do you know if he lost his spot?
I actually haven't said anything to them. So, but I can find out, which I don't think he did because he hasn't been gone, but going on the second week. Actually, 1 week because it was last Wednesday.
Okay, so Ms. Elvig, after hearing Ms. Jackson's testimony, do you feel any differently at this point, or do you still feel the same that we need to at least wait a little while to further investigate?
I'm conflicted because we're 2 years down the road, Your Honor, with a young child that we can't just we can't bounce Christopher around. I think that there are some serious concerns about veracity here. I would think that if you do consider placing him back with Miss Jackson, he needs to be prepared for some unannounced surprise visits. The department needs to stay on that, as well as CASA. But at 2, I'm just concerned. He has been with Miss Jackson. He's really well bonded with that family. If you do that, I would just like to see both the department and CASA do some unannounced surprise visits to confirm that Mr. Homer is truly gone and not a part of this. Okay.
Well, obviously the department, acted, I believe they acted reasonably. I think they've been going in that home all the time, and I don't, know Mr. Homer. I don't think Mr. Homer was there probably for a while. He may have been there recently, and unfortunately, Ms. Jackson was deceptive about his presence. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to order Christopher return back to the home of Ms. Jackson. Today is Monday.
Thank you.
So I'm going to give the department about 2 to 3 days to put that into place. And the idea behind that, Ms. Yeager, is so that you can get everything kind of lined up, make sure that you have all the information that you need. And Miss Jackson, I want you to know that everybody wants what's best for Christopher, but if this falls through, the person that's going to get burned the most by this is me. Okay, and Miss Jackson, I will make you a promise today. If Mr. Homer steps foot on your property again and you let him in that home and Christopher's at home, you will not see Christopher in your home again. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, son, that thing, you can lie to me once, but if you lie to me a second time, you're done.
No, sir. And I want to say thank you to everybody for giving me a second chance.
Well, they're not giving you a second chance, Miss Jackson. I'm giving you a second chance.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do, and that's to protect Christopher. I'm the one giving you a second chance. And as I said, if it goes bad, it goes bad for everybody, but it really goes bad for me.
Yes,
so
sir.
Make sure that you do what is best for Christopher and keep him safe. Additionally, I am going to order the Department of Family and Protective Services to pay for daycare for Christopher in the event that it is not paid for by other state funds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Miss Jackson, something else you need to know is that Miss Yeager, other people from the department, Miss Elvig, Casa, they're all going to come. And they're going to come to your house, sometimes announced, which I will say is scheduled.
Judge Stuckey made his decision. The child is going back to the foster mother's home. But listen to what he said. If this falls through, the person that's going to get burned the most by this is me. He's putting his own reputation on the line. Then he made her a promise. If Mr. Homer steps foot on your property again and you let him in that home while Christopher is there, you will not see Christopher in your home again. One more lie and it's over. He's ordering surprise visits from CPS and CASA. They can show up unannounced and check closets, check under beds, make sure nobody's hiding. This child has been with this foster mother his entire life. He's almost 2 years old and knows no one else. Judge Stuckey is balancing trauma, safety, and trust. He's giving her one final chance. Do you think this was the right call, or should the child have stayed removed? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Sometimes they're going to come up, and it's going to be a surprise. And they're going to want to see you in your house. They're going to want to make sure nobody's hiding in the closets or under the beds and all those good places, okay? And it's not that they don't like you, Miss Jackson. It's that they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Their job is to keep Christopher safe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, with that being said, Ms. Jacobs, if you'll give us a review hearing in about 45 days, please. Let me see when our next hearing is.
It's in May.
Let's see. Okay, we're just going to keep that hearing date. And if there's a need to come back for then, the parties can let me know and we will get you back on the docket. Okay, so with that being said, again, the department has ordered to place Christopher back in the home of Ms. Jackson within 3 days. Our next hearing in this case is on May 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m. Again, May 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m. Any other issues that we need to take up today, Ms. Hoyle, Ms. Elvig, or any questions about the court's orders?
None here. Thank you, Your Honor.
And we'll get those orders as soon as we can.
Okay. All right, Ms. Jackson, make sure you stay in contact with everybody and remember that, you can reach out for help. I mean, the department right now, Ms. Elvig, CASA, everybody is a part of your support network. Obviously, we want you to develop your own support network, but if you have problems, you need to let people know. And we cannot help, or they cannot help if they don't know that there's an issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you have to believe that today, after all these bad things happen, and that I, as the judge, am willing to put him back in your house, I'm in it for the long haul with you too. So if you need help, reach out to somebody, because I can tell you if it goes bad again, that's it.
No.
And I understand, and part of my decision today is I know how traumatic it is for Christopher to be removed from your home and to potentially not be able to go back.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's part of my decision, is that he basically knows no one else other than you over the last almost 2 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you back for our next hearing on May 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m. So we'll see you on that day.